there's been all this hype around LST caps and being able to get exposure to EigenLayer. Well, EigenLayer from the very beginning has not capped native ETH. So what Renzo today allows you to do is natively restake ETH. That just means that you can deposit ETH. And because they have not capped native ETH, we've been able to make it very easy for people to get exposure to EigenLayer and not worry about LST caps.
Welcome to the Edge Podcast. I'm DeFi Dad here with Nomadic from 4RC. Today's show spotlights one of the fastest growing liquid restaking tokens, ezETH by Renzo Protocol. In this episode, we'll cover all you need to know about ezETH, including how you can natively restake and maintain your liquidity, how ezETH differentiates from other LRTs, and how Renzo is designed from the ground up to optimize for AVS yield once EigenLayer is fully live. But before we do, just a quick word from our sponsors who make the Edge Podcast possible.
Introducing the MANTLE Liquid Staking Protocol, MANTLE LSP, a permissionless, non-custodial ETH liquid staking protocol deployed on Ethereum L1 and governed by MANTLE. With MANTLE LSP, users can stake ETH to instantly receive METH, earn yield and accumulate rewards the longer you stake. METH is the value accumulating receipt token that will give you access to expanded yield opportunities. Stake and watch your yield grow with MANTLE LSP.
For most of us, our crypto journey started with MetaMask, and now with MetaMask Portfolio, we can do so much more. MetaMask Portfolio puts you in control. Use the dashboard to see all your assets and balances across your wallets in one place. The buy feature allows us to buy crypto assets effortlessly with fiat options such as PayPal or credit card. The swap feature allows us to swap any tokens anytime by finding a selection of available rates. The bridge feature allows us to bridge between networks including Ethereum, L1s, and L2s based on the best price and fastest delivery time. And with the stake feature, anyone in a few clicks can stake ETH and earn rewards. Do more in Web3 your way with a safe, simple, and convenient tool that's all in one place. Track and manage your Web3 everything at metamask.io/portfolio. Mike, before we get back to the show, can you explain what is liquid restaking?
Everybody at this point is familiar with liquid staking. It lets you take your staked ETH, mint a liquid staking token, and then use that token in DeFi. Well, the hottest thing in staking right now is restaking. It's the ability to reuse your staked ETH to provide Ethereum's trust layer to other services that want to benefit from it. Services like data availability layers, Oracle networks, other blockchains, and beyond. The benefit of restaking is that you get to earn additional staking rewards on top of your normal staking rewards. Well, currently, if you want to restake your ETH, your only option is to lock up your ETH. The reason that's a problem is because you can't use your restaked ETH in DeFi. We are launching ETH, the ETHER.FI liquid restaking token, because with liquid restaking, users get the benefit of staking rewards, restaking rewards, and they get to collect loyalty points for ETHER.FI and EigenLayer through this token. So it's the easiest way to get exposure to two up-and-coming early protocols, and on top of that, get all the benefits of staking and restaking.
To learn more about ETH liquid staking and liquid restaking, go to ETHER.FI.
It all started so simply with CryptoKitties and Maker on Ethereum, but quickly became complex with more applications and many chains. Today, everyone agrees UX issues are the biggest blocker standing in the way of crypto adoption. Introducing AVOCADO. Multi-chain UX redesigned from the ground up. The first wallet to abstract networks, accounts, and gas. One gas tank to pay transaction fees on all chains in USDC. And native access to INSTADAPP's powerful, custom DeFi strategies. AVOCADO, one wallet to rule all chains.
All right, let's introduce Lucas Kozinski, a founding contributor of Renzo Protocol. Lucas, welcome to the Edge Podcast. How are you doing?
Really good. Appreciate you, DeFi Dad, having us on the call to talk about Renzo, and super excited to share some of the things that we have going on at Renzo.
Yeah, so this podcast rounds off actually almost like a series we've done on restaking. And more recently, we've covered ETH by ETHER.FI, which similarly allows you to natively liquid restake. We're going to talk about what all that means today, and some of the advantages to that without having these caps that people talk about in relationship to restaking on EigenLayer. And so, yeah, hopefully folks will see this as a deep dive on all you need to know about the ezETH token, why it's appropriately called ezETH, and then what are some of the future benefits to what you're designing into this product. Because one thing I will point out is we're still so early on in this journey, and given the fact that EigenLayer products aren't actually live, there's just so many benefits coming to us in the future, and that's what we're really excited to learn about in relationship to ezETH, how you guys are thinking about designing with future AVSs live. So on that note, Lucas, do you want to kick off with just a little bit about your background? You know, you've worked on many DeFi protocols. You've been in the space for quite a long time. So what else have you worked on prior to Renzo?
Yeah, I think it's really important to first acknowledge all the people that are behind Renzo. There's literally an army of contributors, advisors, investors, and some of the smartest people I've had the pleasure to work with in the space. As far as my personal background, I got into crypto in 2014. Was impacted by Mt. Gox, sat out for a couple years, and then came back in late 2016, early 2017. I've had a chance to contribute to the Tezos Foundation in 2018, helping bring that project to market. Spent a little bit of time at TokenSoft, and also was a founding contributor to a lending protocol named Moonwell, which was launched on Moonriver, Moonbeam, and now on Base as well.
Lucas, why don't we get right into Renzo? Maybe you can just give us the, elevator pitch for what Renzo is.
Yeah. So Renzo was an idea that came up early last summer, around June, July. A few of us came together and realized the potential of EigenLayer. But at the same time, we noticed how complex of an ecosystem deliberately was being built to create a marketplace. And we decided to build Renzo from the ground up to really optimize for some of the complexities that we thought were going to emerge in the EigenLayer ecosystem. So what Renzo today allows you to do is natively restake ETH. When we say natively restake ETH, that just means that you can deposit ETH. It's not a LST token or anything else. And the huge benefit there is that EigenLayer, there's been all this hype around LST caps and being able to get exposure to EigenLayer. Well, EigenLayer from the very beginning has not capped native ETH. And because they have not capped native ETH, we've been able to make it very easy for people to get exposure to EigenLayer and not worry about LST caps. And what that really means is anybody could actually go directly to EigenLayer, but you need 32 ETH, you need to run your own Ethereum node validators, and then you have to build out the integration to EigenLayer via EigenPods. And that's not easy to do. So our goal with the MVP product or the beta product that you see live now was give people access to that. That being said, Renzo, that's just one feature of Renzo. By the time this recording comes out, we would have announced support for LSTs as well. So from the very beginning, the vision for Renzo was to be a basket of assets, and we'll be announcing support for BE via a partnership that we've been working on with BNB Chain to get the Binance community access to EigenLayer on BNB.
Lucas, when you mentioned the basket of assets, I mean, are we still just talking about restaked ETH, but on like other chains, or do you envision other restaked LSTs that are not ETH being under the Renzo protocol?
Yeah, really good question. So right now you see two things kind of going on. You could either deposit LSTs or you could deposit native ETH. Renzo, because we built it from the ground up, you'll be able to deposit both native ETH and different LSTs into Renzo, and those assets are pooled together. So that what we mean by that is they're collateralized within Renzo, and the collateralization is happened by ezETH. So there isn't a one-to-one representation on the assets that you deposit into Renzo. It's going to be a basket of assets that are used as collateral for ezETH. And we think that is going to have a huge advantage in the space, because essentially it's not going to matter whether caps are open or caps are not open, or what LST asset that you hold that EigenLayer accepts. You'll just be able to come to Renzo and deposit whatever asset that you have. Now, there is an asset listing framework, and it's not like every single asset's going to be supported on Renzo, but you're going to see like the top tier A LSTs also deposited, be able to be deposited into Renzo and collateralized by ezETH.
I don't want to skip over the simpler details here in case someone's never checked out renzoprotocol.com. So can you just walk us through, how do you get ezETH, or how do you mint ezETH? What do you have to start with? And then also, what can you do with it once you have ezETH?
Yep. So to get ezETH or to get exposure to EigenLayer, it's literally as simple as one click. You go to renzoprotocol.com. You need ETH, just vanilla ETH in your wallet. You deposit ETH and you get ezETH back. It's literally that simple. You don't have multiple tokens. You don't need any kind of NFTs to get any kind of special bonuses. One click, deposit ETH, get ezETH back. And we've started to build out the DeFi ecosystem. So today, the first one that's available, there's a $50 million pool on Balancer where you could go swap for ezETH or ETH. You could also LP in that pool, and there's a number of integrations coming with other DEX protocols. We're working on some lending markets where you could actually use both your ezETH or your LP token from a DEX as collateral to get more exposure, if that's something you're comfortable with.
Can you just maybe walk us through how ezETH compares with some of the other LRTs on the market?
Yeah, so right now, because the ecosystem on EigenLayer is so early, there really isn't that much differentiation between products on the as far as like what users could use. The first and biggest differentiation that you're actually going to see go live with Renzo is this ability to be able to deposit ETH or an LST, not have to ever worry about another token. For example, getting an LST to be restaked, you'll be able to just deposit that. The next thing that you're going to see play out once these DeFi integrations play out and AVSs start launching is how protocols are going to be able to secure those AVSs. And this is really important because you guys did a really nice job on your last show to highlight Renzo on how easy it is to just deposit and get ezETH. Well, the further you get down the stack with an EigenLayer, the more complicated it gets. And if you have a protocol that's built from the ground up and optimized, you're going to be able to do a lot more and do it efficiently. So we'll give you guys an example. If there's 3 AVSs, there's 7 different strategies that you could run. Secure A, secure B, secure C, AB, BC, ABC. This is completely different than liquid staking because with liquid staking, there's only one strategy and one reward token. It's secure Ethereum consensus and get Ethereum yield. But because of these AVSs, each of them is unique. You have to have a way to, one, figure out which AVSs you're going to secure. Go and actually secure those AVSs. That's really hard to do. The more operators and the more decentralized operator set that you have, the more complicated it gets. Just think about herding a bunch of people and trying to get them to go in one direction. Now imagine herding a bunch of people and trying to get them to split up into 3 different directions to secure AVSs. The coordination effort is really, really difficult. In this case, the AVSs have different pricing conditions, like hardware requirements that you actually need to run to secure them. So having institutional grade nodes like Renzo has, including Figment and now P2P, will allow us to secure those AVSs. But at the same time, if an AVS isn't playing out the way the community expected, you have to also unwind those positions and reallocate that capital to optimize for risk reward. So Renzo, being built from the ground up, is able to optimize on that and do that in an extremely efficient way. And as the rewards that are harvested from these AVSs, we'll also be able to imagine getting 100 rewards and trying to claim them on Ethereum mainnet. It's extremely gas inefficient. So how do you actually capture those rewards for your users without having to overcomplicate and actually burn through all this gas to capture the value? And that's what Renzo is going to be able to do really, really well because it's built from the ground up to do that.
Lucas, do you think you can paint more of a picture of if you don't have something like ezETH in the future, and EigenLayer is live, and you want to restake? Let's say this is someone who goes about manually restaking an LST like Steph. Maybe you can walk us through some of the pain points there that they're going to run into. Like, I think you started to allude to it. Like, I think there's a lot of risk management there that is going to fly over the heads of a lot of us. Like, if I'm restaked in EigenLayer in the future and I'm looking across all these different AVSs that I can be earning yield from, like, I'm kind of viewing it the way we view DeFi today. There's a lot of yield opportunities. Sometimes we use yield aggregators. We use certain vaults to like automate strategies, and then we outsource some of the challenges there to other folks that are taking like a cut of it. Anyways, am I painting a picture of like what this product might look like in the future, like in terms of all the complexity?
Yeah, there's another layer there that you're missing though before you get to AVSs. AVSs are secured by node operators. So a user would have to go and identify a node operator, get comfortable with that node operator is. We know that the large node operators, like the institutional grade operators, are not going to allow what we call vanilla delegations to them. They are able to whitelist who is able to deposit, but you have to start with operators. And the difficulty there is operators have the flexibility. If they're just securing EigenDA, for example, they actually have the flexibility and the autonomy to say, we don't want to secure EigenDA now. We want to secure these other AVSs as well. So you first have to pick an operator, and then you have to continuously monitor that operator to make sure they're running the strategy that you thought they were running. And if they're not running the strategy that you originally thought, you have to withdraw that liquidity and then find another operator to find the risk-adjusted AVS strategy that you might like. So the way to think about Renzo and ezETH, it's going to be a weighted exposure to AVSs that optimizes for Sharpe ratios. So we've been working on this portfolio construction methodology with partners like Gauntlet and a few other researchers in the space that defines max loss. So the most important thing at the very beginning is how much risk are you willing to take? And what is the max loss if there was a slashing event? And based on that max loss, what is the Sharpe ratio, the risk adjusted strategy to optimize to go and secure the right weighted average of AVSs? And that's where the complexity really comes in. So you have operators that have the autonomy to select different AVSs. You're not liquid on it. You're receiving all these rewards that sometimes could be dust and you can't even claim because it's too expensive. And how do you, as more AVSs come online, continue to optimize that? It's just a much more complicated problem to solve than what you see with liquid staking.
So Lucas, thinking about all of this from the Renzo side, is there like a competitive kind of nature forming around these AVSs and some of these other LRT providers? Like, could you kind of dive into that a little bit? Like, it seems like there's potentially some sort of game theory building here, but maybe you walk us through that.
Yeah, so we've had a thesis internally at Renzo since we started building it that because of the nature of EigenLayer and it being a proper marketplace with supply and demand, that you're naturally going to see game theory play out. I think we're starting to see it a little bit already with AltLayer and how they prioritize LST deposits versus native ETH deposits and how long people held those balances. But we see a scenario possibly playing out. This is, speculating a little bit, but Web3 loves game theory where, for example, at Renzo, one of the things that we'll be doing through governance is we'll have a framework around which AVS is actually qualified to be whitelisted to be secured by Renzo. And that's going to be done through governance. And we think that AVSs and operators, for that matter, because operators will also be whitelisted through governance, are going to want to participate in governance to influence and try to get the liquidity that is coming through Renzo to their operators and AVSs. On the flip side, what we are starting to see already is that AVSs are going to prioritize different behaviors, or they're going to want to incentivize or disincentivize certain behaviors. So, for example, if you're building a liquid restaking protocol that cannot harvest rewards from AVSs efficiently, meaning actually not sell them for native ETH, which we've heard a lot of protocols by design are doing because they have limitations from being legacy protocols. We see a world where AVSs might say, hey, we don't like it that you're auto farming us for ETH. And if you want access to the benefits and the rewards that we're giving off, you have to have or hold as a protocol or as a user our AVS Gov token to be able to direct liquidity. So you're going to see this game theory, we think, play out where both sides on the supply and demand side are going to require each other to hold their Gov tokens in order to be able to get access to either liquidity or the rewards on the AVS side. And that's really exciting for us because we built Renzo for the ground up with that in mind, where we think that certain AVSs are just going to be inaccessible to a lot of protocols and users. And that's where you're going to really find that Sharpe ratio that I mentioned earlier, where the risk reward is going to be optimized and those users are going to get to benefit the most from using the same amount of capital.
Lucas, speaking of game theory, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the Pendle mania surrounding LRTs?
Yeah, Pendle has been extremely fascinating because for the first time, we're seeing speculation around what the yield opportunity might exist when AVSs launch. So people are literally speculating on on what that yield is going to be in 3 to 6 months. And they're able to do that with Pendle. There's a lot of conversations that we're having with LPs and funds that are looking to deploy capital to Renzo. They are literally quoting what the Pendle rate, market rate is for future yield opportunities that they might be able to capture once AVSs launch.
Yeah, it's such a cool DeFi integration because originally the Pendle pitch was that they were going to tokenize yields and that you were going to be able to trade those or speculate on them. And for folks that weren't around during like 2020, 2021, I think one of the issues that we all ran into was just the fact that like there was a mania around airdrop farming like there is now, but you couldn't like hedge against yields dropping. You couldn't speculate on those future yields. So like, I know it looks a little bit insane from the outside, but this is actually one of the signs of maturity in DeFi. Like this is a very sophisticated DeFi protocol, and it's allowing people to do exactly what they want to do. Put a value on the price of a future EigenLayer airdrop. I'm sure folks will be speculating on a future Renzo airdrop. They're definitely speculating on a future ETHER.FI airdrop. There's a Kelp one that just went live today. At the end of the day, I think DeFi is letting people do what they want with their money and putting a price on whatever it is that they want and are willing to trade. So it's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, I just wanted to add though, let's not it's really easy to get hung up on points and everything else. But what Pendle is actually doing, and we're seeing smart money literally reference them, they're trying to figure out there's a cost of capital to deploy capital in different places. And they're starting to use that Pendle rate to figure out, hey, do I want to put my ETH with Renzo for the next 3 to 6 months? And when AVSs launch, what is that possible return that we will see on our ETH? And for the first time, we're seeing smart money starting to price that and identify that, for example, deploying ETH into Renzo is a beta play, because not only is there this mania around points, and that's just like, kind of the cherry on top, but they're like, hey, we could get the market speculating we're going to get 15, 20% on our ETH position once EigenLayer, for example, launches. That's the piece that excites us. The point frenzy is a little bit crazy. In my opinion, it's super speculative, but that's how we see kind of early DeFi ecosystems first evolve. But we're seeing the adoption and the maturity curve accelerate here and actually move past that and try to actually price those longer term yields. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. In the past 2 weeks, Pendle's TVL has grown by about 30%. And I think it's like largely on the back of this kind of product market fit with these LRT token launches. Speaking of tokens, would love if you can share anything about a future Renzo governance token. It sounds like the governance aspect of these tokens will be pretty important with what you alluded to with how the interplay with the AVSs. So yeah, anything you can share on that front?
Yeah, there isn't much that has been shared publicly, but there's kind of 3 components that are really important to possibly having a Renzo token in the future. One is governance. There is there's a lot that could be done with governance in a protocol and an ecosystem that's as complicated as EigenLayer. So for example, how do you decide on which new assets to support as deposit assets? Which operators does the community want to support? Which AVSs do they want to support? Which AVSs do they not want to support and change their mind on? How to define the max loss and the amount of risk that ezETH positions are willing to take. Those are all real problems that need to be solved, and it's, in our opinion, not for the heart of a centralized team to do that, and that should be done in transparency via governance. The second piece is Renzo does charge a fee. Renzo charges a fee based on staking rewards. And once AVSs launch, it will also charge a fee that it splits with its operators for AVSs. There's no fees on any kind of points. You can't price points, so you can't use it as collateral within the protocol. So every single point that Renzo users get exposure to, whether it's EigenLayer, Easy Points, Alt Layer, those are being passed 100% to those users. But the piece that I'm trying to point out here is the community could also decide what those fees are that should be charged in the future. And as the protocol accumulates these fees, what does the community want to do with them? Right now, they're being auto-compounded by the protocol, but those protocol reserves actually belong to the community and not any central team. And then the last one is really, as we're starting off with a more centralized operator set. Lido did the same thing. It helps with scaling because there's less coordination effort around, hey, go secure like multiple AVSs, and the quality of the operators and the infrastructure that they run make it a lot more secure to use Renzo. But over time, as we start decentralizing on our operator set, you need to be able to disincentivize and incentivize operators to do what the DAO wants it to do. And you could also do that by using the Gov token as a bond, similar to what Rocket Pool does, to ensure that the operators are behaving the way the DAO wants it. So those are like the top three things that, for the most part, we talk about, at least right now.
Guys, this is probably a good place for us to start to wrap up. So I want to remind our listeners to first go to renzoprotocol.com. That's the best place to start to learn about Renzo. You can check out the Renzo app there, which allows you to mint ezETH. You can follow Renzo Protocol on Twitter. It's just Renzo Protocol. And then be sure to follow Lucas as well on Twitter. It's just his first and last name, Lucas Kozinski. And we'll have all that in our show notes. Lucas, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us about all things Renzo. I want to give you, though, the final word on how would you recommend folks get involved in Renzo, and maybe any like final word on like what's next for Renzo.
Yeah, really appreciate it, DeFi Dad and Nomadic, for letting us talk about Renzo and look a little bit further out on what we think is going to really be a game changer in the restaking space. As far as Renzo, keep in mind, like we've said throughout the show, you don't have to have PTSD around EigenLayer caps. You could come to Renzo 24/7, no minimum deposits. You could deposit your ETH, 100% of any kind of points that is captured by Renzo gets passed on to its users. The piece that we're most excited about, and we really want to hear back from the community by engagement on Twitter and in our Discord, is this new category of LRTs that you're going to see emerge with Renzo being able to add LST deposits as well. So a lot in the works as far as like DeFi integrations, but also longer term collaborations with AVSs.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're a talented founder or developer, please consider reaching out to our team at fourthrevolution.capital. And for future episodes of the Edge podcast, please check out our link tree at edge_pod.